Shalom, shalom. Giving all honor, glory, and praises to the Most High God in the name of His Son, Hamashiach Yahushua. I'm Deacon Nehemiah with Swords of the Spirit, coming to you with a little class. This class right here is entitled Matthew 5:17. What does it mean to fulfill the law? Because that comes up a lot, and a lot of Christians try to twist this to make it mean that you don't have to keep the law. So we gonna go through these scriptures, man, and just break this thing on down, because they think that Christ fulfilled the law, and that means that you do not have to keep the law anymore. Well, we gonna see what the scriptures say. And I like to give a warning to anybody that when you talking about this Bible, if you have anybody making up reasons why you don't have to do something that God commanded us to do outside of the sacrificial laws or the things we're not able to do because we're not in our homeland, if they're making up excuses on why they can eat pork or why sisters can wear pants and things of this nature, they going against the Bible and they going against the Most High God. You want to keep the law to show your obedience. That's what it's all about. The Most High God commanded us to do these things as His chosen people. So when we do it, we're showing obedience and we're showing love. So if you take that away, then how do you show the Most High God that you love Him? So we're going to go through these scriptures now. And the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17. Christ said, "Think not," meaning don't think, "that I've come to destroy the law." He telling you right there, don't think that I came to destroy the law. So for a Christian, if they trying to say he fulfilled the law and that means you don't have to do it anymore, he telling you right there, think not that I come to destroy the law. Don't think that I came to destroy the law. Or the prophets. Or the prophets. See, they don't understand the only laws done away with is the sacrificial laws, because we don't have no priest. And most importantly, because Christ was the ultimate sacrifice. Let's get this out of Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 1. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, it's talking about the sacrificial law here, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. For then would they have not ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscience of the sins. But in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of the sins every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sin. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, talking about Yahushua, he saith, sacrifice and offerings thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me. Because he's the ultimate sacrifice. So therefore, that law, the sacrificial law, is done away with. So when he's saying, think not that I have come to destroy the law, we still got the moral law, the civil law, the dietary law. We still got the high holy days. We still got the Sabbath. These things which Yahushua kept. How he going to keep them and then tell you you don't have to do them? That don't even make sense. If that was the case, then he wouldn't have never did them. He say, think not that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets. Why would he say that? Because the prophets prophesied things. They prophesied about Christ. He say, I am not come to destroy. He ain't come to destroy the law. And he ain't come to destroy what the prophets did, but to fulfill. He came to fulfill those things. Now, we pull a certain scripture to cover one part of the fulfillment. But he talking about two things here. He said he did say he come to fulfill the law. So we gonna go into the scriptures to see what fulfilling the law means. Because even with the Christians trying to take that point of view, they still got it all the way wrong. So we gonna cover the fulfilling of the prophets, which is fulfilling of prophecy, and we're gonna cover the fulfilling of the law. So let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 2 and verse 40. And I'm going to show you right here in the book. Matter of fact, first, I'm going to give you the definition of fulfill, because this is very important. Fulfill. Bring to completion or reality. What did Christ come to bring to completion? He came to bring to completion the prophecies that was written about him. He came to bring to reality that you can keep the law. Achieve or realize. To carry out a task, duty, or role as required. Hold up, let me go up. To bring to completion or reality. Achieve or realize. Something desired, promised, or predicted. So let's see if we can get this out the Blue Letter Bible. That was something predicted, man. These people try to twist the scriptures, try to twist words, simple English. But Peter told us that they wrestle with these scriptures to their own destruction. But to fulfill. G4137, Greek. To make full. To fill up. To cause to abound. To furnish. Or supply liberally. To render full. To complete. To consummate. To carry into effect. Bring to realization. Realize. To fulfill. To cause God's will as made known in the law to be obeyed as it should be. And God's promises given through the prophets to receive fulfillment. Come on, man. When you go to the Greek for the word fulfill, it's telling you what it's talking about. It's nowhere getting around it, man. It's nowhere in there that is saying that you don't have to keep God's law. The word fulfill does not accomplish what the Christians are trying to accomplish. So, and I'm still carry on. I'm going to give some examples right out the scriptures of how the word fulfilled is used for achieving or completion. 2nd Esdras chapter 2, verse 40. Now watch this. Take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord. So this is one case of fulfilling the law, and we're going to bring that out. So they want to know about fulfilling the law. They want to say Christ fulfilled the law. Okay, fine. We'll show you how he fulfilled the law. That's one example of the fulfilled. And the number of thy children whom thou longest for is fulfilled. That's prophecy. The number of thy children whom thou longest for. That means you're longing for a specific number. Like the Most High is longing for the 144,000. That's the number. That's already been prophesied. So the number that thou hast been longing for is fulfilled. Meaning it's completed. So we're going to take that information and we're going to cover those subject matters. Let's go to Acts chapter 3 and verse 18. So we know that fulfill is used in the context of fulfilling the law too out of the scriptures. All praises. They say Christ fulfilled the law. But their definition of fulfilling the law means that you don't have to keep the law anymore. Let's see what God got to say. First, we're going to cover what the prophets did. This is Acts chapter 3 and verse 18. But those things which God before had shewed by the mouth of all his prophets, that God shewed by the mouth of all his prophets, that Christ should suffer, he has so fulfilled, meaning he completed. And let's see where that came from. Where was the prophecy of Christ having to suffer? Let's see what's that fulfilled. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 53 and verse 2. Let's see that he fulfilled this. For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He has no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief. And we hid as were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. Verse 7. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He has put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, there we go. He made his soul an offering for sin. This is future prophecy that was fulfilled. He shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days. See, when he gonna see his seed, we're his seed. The nation of Israel is his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hands. So that's a future prophecy from the prophets about Yahushua. You can't get around that thing, man. Let's get another example. Let's go to Isaiah 7 and 14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign, a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse evil. That honey and that butter is the word of the Most High God. That's how he know to refuse evil. Just like Paul said, let me get that real quick, Romans chapter 7. Paul said in Romans chapter 7, verse 7, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law. For I had not known lust except the law has said, thou shalt not covet. So, my light going haywire, y'all. But I'm going to push on. So Paul himself is telling you, if it wasn't for the law, he wouldn't have known sin. So that butter and that honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse evil, is these laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, man. And that's what Christ was chewing on when he was here. Man, this thing don't light now. Let's get another example of that. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 19 and verse 7. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold. Sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. So it's showing you that comparison that it's talking about. Well, that's why Yahushua knew to refuse evil when he was here on this earth. Now let's get the precept back in this prophecy up. Let's go to Matthew chapter 1, verse 23. And it reads, "And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, and he shall save his people from their sins. Now all this was done, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us." See? Fulfilling prophecy. Fulfilling prophecy. That's why he said, "I ain't come to destroy the law or the prophets," because he's fulfilling the prophecies that was written about him. Let's get Acts chapter 3 and verse 18. Did we go over that already? Let me get that Luke 24 and 44. That's the one we usually pull. Go ahead and squash it because it gets straight to the point. But we can touch it, like that's what I'm doing today, touching on that fulfilling the law part too. Hold up, y'all. This is ridiculous. All right. So get that Luke 24 and 44. There with that Acts 3 and 18. And it reads, "And he said unto them," this is Yahushua, "These are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses, and in the prophets, and in the Psalms concerning me." Meaning all things have to be completed. That was written of Yahushua. They just refuse to understand that. They refuse to understand that. We really can end it right here, but I'm going to delve into it just a little bit more to give them what they want. You want Christ to fulfill the law? Fine. Let's read Matthew 5 and 17 one more time. Because I read this over and over, and I see how they read. He said, "Think not that I come to destroy the law." They completely skipping over that. They not reading that part. "Or the prophets. I am not come to destroy." So he said he think not that he come to destroy the law or the prophets. He ain't come to destroy the law or the prophets, but to fulfill. So if he's saying fulfill for one part, then he's saying it for the other one too. So he's saying he came to fulfill the law too. And he came to fulfill the prophecies. So let's give them what they want. Let's go to Romans chapter 8 and verse 4. They love Paul. Paul straight up, I'm going to do a class on Paul too. Paul straight up telling you what he about. They just take it and twist it how they want to. Let's see what Christ did to fulfill the law. This is the book of Romans chapter 8 and verse 4. "That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us." Let's see how the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us and how it was fulfilled in Christ. Because it said might be fulfilled in us. So that means it definitely was fulfilled in Christ. "Who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit." What's the Spirit? What's walking after the Spirit? Let's get it. John 6 and 63. "It is the Spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life." They are spirit and they are life. So, this is what Christ said to us, right? So, let's go to Romans chapter 7 verse 12. Let's see what the Spirit is. Let's see what those words that he speak unto us. What did he speak unto us? This is the book of Romans, chapter 7, and verse 14. Hold on 1 second. This thing on light. And it reads, "For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin." We know that the law is spiritual. And let's drop down to 12. I should have just read that first. Romans chapter 7 and verse 12. "Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment is holy, and just and good. Was then that which is good made deaf unto me? God forbid." So he's telling you that was the law made deaf unto me? God forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, working deaf in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceedingly sinful. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. So you got to be in the spirit when you're keeping the law. When you're keeping the law, you in the spirit, shall I say. When you're keeping the law, you're in the spirit. And that's what it's all about. So let's go back to 8 and verse 4. "That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us." How is it going to be fulfilled? Because we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. We're not going against the law. We're not going against our brothers and sisters. We're not going against the Most High God, who walk not after the flesh. We're not doing the things of the flesh. We're doing the things of the Most High God, but after the Spirit. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. Like Christ has said, he ain't come to do his will, he came to do the will of the Father. That's the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. To be spiritually minded is life and peace. To be spiritually, think about that. To be spiritually minded is life and peace. Let's see what it's talking about. Go to Baruch chapter 4 and verse 1. To be spiritually minded, to be in this word, to put the law, statutes, commandments on your mind, to be humble to the Most High God, to love your brothers and sisters, to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because you got peace, because you're not beefing with your own brothers. Let's see the life. The book of Baruch chapter 4 and verse 1. "This is the book of the commandments of God, and the law that endure forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die." All that keep God's law, such commandments shall come to life, spiritually alive. So when you're doing what the Lord told us to do, you're spiritually alive, man. Go back over here to Romans chapter 8 and verse 7. "Because the carnal mind is enmity against God." Because being carnal minded, being of this world, is being an enemy of God. He don't like that thing. An enemy of God. "For it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So then, they that are in the flesh cannot please God," because you want to please yourself. You want to please this body. You can't please God if you're pleasing this body. If you're pleasing yourself, going after your lust, you can't please the Most High God. So you're not spiritual. If you saying God love everybody, if you saying we got to love the world, Jesus came for everybody, I can eat pork, sisters can wear any kind of thing that they want to wear, you're going after the lust. You're going after the flesh. Because God said, Yahweh said we can't do all those things. He gave us order. The book of Galatians chapter 5 and verse 14. This is fulfilling the law, man. By doing it, not being carnal minded, not being of the flesh, but being spiritual. Was Christ not spiritual? He was the most spiritual brother. So he was fulfilling the law because he didn't have no gall in his mouth. He didn't have any sin. That's fulfilling the law. Being perfect to the Most High God. The book of Galatians chapter 5 and verse 14. I want to start at 13. Hold up, y'all. This light again, man. As soon as I went to get up, it straightened up. All right. Let's start at verse 13. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. Because that's what the law is going into, loving one another, man. For all the law is fulfilled in one word. What's the word? Love. All the law is fulfilled in one word, love. But what is love? Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. But if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed one another. Because he's commanding us to love one another, because if we beefing one another, then we got the situation that we in right now. Black on black crime, brothers killing one another with no impunity, no love, straight heartless, man. My cousin just recently got murdered. And he didn't even do nothing. Because these dudes don't love each other, man. They under curses. Deuteronomy 28:54. That's why he commanded us to love one another. Because when you don't, you will bite and devour one another until you consume one another. So he's telling us, this I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So walk in the law. For the flesh lust is against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the spirit, ye are not under the law. They don't even get that part. If you led of the spirit, that means you being right by the Most High. You being perfect. And you're not under the law, because you're not breaking the law. But they don't get it, man. They just don't want to do what the law say do. But you be spiritual, you're not even worried about it, because you're not even doing nothing. It's just like you driving down the street. If you not running the red light, then you didn't break no law. You ain't running the stop sign, you're not speeding, then you're not worried about nothing. You don't have to worry about nothing. Just like, detour real quick. Romans chapter 13, verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resists the power, resists the ordinance of God. See, they thinking that they talking about the white man, they talking about Biden, they talking about the military. No, it's a whosoever therefore resisteth the power. If you resisting the power, resistance the ordinance of God. The ordinances of God is the laws, statutes, and commandments. So just like I say, if you driving down the street and you ain't running no stop signs, not speed, none of that, then you're not worried about the police. If you're not breaking God's law, then you're not worried about getting in trouble, the powers to be, because you're not breaking God's law. So you're chilling. You're not worried about anything. Let's go to 1 John chapter 5, verse 3. Because that one word that is summed up, you fulfill the law with that one word, it's love, right? 1 John chapter 5, verse 3. For this is love. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. I'm going to give you another one. 2 John chapter 1, verse 6. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that, as ye have heard from the beginning, ye shall walk in it. So if you want to fulfill the law in one word, then you got to fulfill it with love. And this is how you love. And then you got Christians that say they love God, but they hate their own brother. And I got news for you. It don't work like that. You can't say you love God and hate your brother. or hate the Israelites. Let's get another one on love. This is Sirach, chapter 2 and verse 16. They that fear the Lord will seek that which is well pleasing unto him. That's the key thing, man. If you love the Lord, like you say you do, you will seek that is well pleasing unto him, not go by your own thought process of what you feel and you believe. And they that love him shall be filled with the law. So if you want to be fulfilled, if you want to fulfill the law, you got to be filled with the law. It say they that love him will be filled with the law. Come on, man. They that fear the Lord will prepare their hearts and humble their souls in his sight. Because these Christians don't even understand. They're not humbling their soul in the sight of the Most High God. These people say they love everybody. They don't love everybody. And then they say, but they have an attitude with Israelites because all we doing is bringing the word of God out the way that it's supposed to be. But I'm telling you, you don't love the Most High God if you're not keeping his commandments. You talking against his law and statutes commandments. And let's see, 1 John chapter 5 and verse 2, we just going to jump up one verse. For them that's saying they love God, but then they show hate to the Israelites. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. There's no way of getting around it, man. And just to put a dagger in the heart, if they say, well, you saying, let's say commandments. You talking about the law. We said the law. Okay. This is 2 Kings, chapter 17 and verse 37, to show you it's all the same. And the statutes, and the ordinances, and the law, and the commandments, which he wrote for you, ye shall observe to do forevermore, and ye shall not fear other gods. Letting you know that all these things the Most High wrote for us. The laws, the statutes, commandments, the ordinances, everything. So, in a nutshell, Christ did fulfill the law. And he fulfilled the law to do this. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps, who did no sin. Why would they even bring up sin? Let's get sin right quick. For anybody, we know Israelites know, but this for anybody who watching this that don't know. The book of 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin, transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. So it said Christ didn't do no sin, meaning he didn't break no laws, which means the laws is still in effect. Who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. Who, when he was reviled, he reviled not again. When he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judgeth righteously. Who, his own self, bare our sins in his own body on the tree, that we, being dead to sin, should live unto righteousness, by whose stripes ye were healed. So for you to live unto righteousness, for you to be dead to sin, you have to keep God's law, statutes, commandments like Christ did. Because if he didn't have no sin, then that means he didn't break no law. So if you got to be like Christ, because he was the example, then we have to keep the laws. And let me prove that fact. Let's go right back where we started from. Matthew 5 and 10. Because we started this thing with Matthew 5 and 17. But see, if you jump up beforehand and start reading to get a better understanding of this conversation that we're talking about. You say fulfill the law, then Christ literally told us what we needed to do first. He told us what we needed to do as Israelites, as beacons of hope, as letting our light shine, As you letting your light shine, that means that you are being obedient to the Most High God. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 10. Because is this not what happened to Christ? Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is what Christ had to go through, and he's telling us that we're blessed if we get persecuted for righteousness' sake, like he did. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you. Because remember, he was reviled, but he reviled not. And persecute you. He was persecuted. And shall say all manners of evil against you falsely for my sake. Did they not do that to Christ? He was the example, remember? He was the example. And he kept the law. Because how else are you going to hold your peace and hold your spirit if somebody is doing all these things to you if you're not in the spirit, man? Verse 12, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. He's gearing us up. He's telling us. He ain't destroy the law of the prophets. He's telling you we need those so that we can be like this, how he's telling us to be. He was the example. The only way we can follow his example is we have to be like this. Verse 13, we all know this one. Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden underfoot. If we lost our flavor, that's because we're not keeping the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High God. You lost your flavor because the law, statutes, commandments is our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in the sight of the nations. You don't have that, you don't have your flavor. See, they think it's just about looks. Oh, we look good, we can dance, we can sing. No, it's about spirituality. Verse 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. That they may see your good works. How you gonna have good works? How you gonna be a light? Let's get the light. Proverbs 6 and 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproof of instruction are a way of life. It's no way of getting around this thing, man. These laws, statutes, commandments is our way. The laws, statutes, and commandments. So if we gonna fulfill it, then that means we have to be doing them, or not breaking them, and also doing what he told us to do. Because the commandments is things that he commanded us not to do, and the commandments are things that he commanded us to do. So do the things he commanded us to do, and don't do the things that he commanded us not to do. And you're fulfilling the law. So I hope it gave some edification on that subject matter, because that's a major topic that comes up in our teachings on the street. Christians like to run up with that, man. So you kill them softly with that. Oh, you want to talk about fulfilling the law? Well, we can fulfill the law. It's going to take you right back to doing what the Most High God told us to do. So if he commanded us to keep the Feast of Dedication, we have to do that thing. If he commanded us to keep the Feast of Tabernacle, the Feast of Passover, unleavened bread, Sabbaths, new moons, we have to do that thing, man. All that making excuses while we don't have to do it, this is all our people are. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 32, in verse 17. A sinful man would not be reproved, because remember, reproof is a way of life. It's being an Israelite. Let me read that again. Proverbs 6 and 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light, and reproof of instructions are the way of life, meaning correction, being corrected, getting corrected so you won't be going off. But if you're a sinful man, you don't want that. Sirach, chapter 32 and 17. A sinful man will not be reproved, will not be corrected, but findeth an excuse according to his will. And that's what people do. Well, I can eat pork. Acts 10 says I can eat pork. Mark 4 say I can eat pork because, no, what the law say, there's no amendment to that law. He put an amendment to sacrificial law. It's right here clear as day. There's no way of getting around it. He didn't make an amendment to eating pork, so you're going to keep eating it, and you keep getting gout and high blood pressure, diabetes. And you wouldn't think that that's a good thing. Well, our people something else. So with that, I say shalom, shalom, all praise to the Most High God, in the name of His Holy Son, Hamashiach Yahavashah, Ka'alaha Yahweh Bahashim Hamashiach Yahavashah. Hallelujah. Have a good evening.